Alrighty everyone, welcome back. We are just a couple of days away from the official Mando Season 3 finale that's gonna wrap everything up before Jon and Dave then focus on the marketing of the Ahsoka Tano series, which is just a little over 3 months away, by the way. You know, we've got, of course, May, June, and July, a break from, of course, live-action Star Wars, until we hit August, the release month of the Ahsoka series. That's really gonna kickstart the second phase of the Star Wars franchise by Jon, George, and Dave. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, we've been having a lot of things going on all at once between Kathleen Kennedy, Jon Favreau, Bob Iger, and how there's a Disney shakeup. There's been a lot of things happening to the Star Wars franchise, and ever since Celebration and even during it, we've had a lot of them discussing directly to the fans. You know, Jon and Dave showing their goals in mind, Kathleen Kennedy responding to the fan base, and basically there's been a lot of things happening ever since Daisy Ridley was announced to be returning back as Rey in the upcoming Stephen Knight-led film. Now, we already know that there's a lot of things going into that movie, and they want to make sure that it's going to be a good one. Even Bob Iger wants to make sure that this is going to be a hit, and so that's why Kathleen Kennedy is not really fully involved in that project, and she even admitted this. We'll be going over that in just a second. But what she did respond to, again, was the fans' response, how the fans reacted to the Rey announcement, Daisy Ridley's return, and a whole lot more than that. So, given that Kathleen Kennedy has been, you know, pretty much having a lot of problems with Acolyte and Skeleton Crew for the past number of months, many Star Wars TV shows are in the works by Jon and Dave that will be unveiled later this year. Bob Iger recently has been making major changes to the franchise. It's noted that recently Kathleen Kennedy engaged in an interview where she had some controversial things about the Star Wars fandom by stating the following. Now, Kennedy actually went on to say, I'm just as disgusted as Daisy was when I saw the reactions to our announcement of Rey's return, and though I view them as a minority in this case, it would spell a signal that it's a larger portion of the fan base, which worries me about how we are going to fix things like fan division and this wide difference in fan engagement that makes it harder for us to decide what we want to put out on the big screen. Projects, of course, like Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and this new film by Stephen Knight with Daisy have been getting unfair criticism after we made those announcements. In the days of social media, I guess this is just the new norm, and that's what you have to deal with. Before the internet, when we made announcements, it was just radio silent. We may have had things in the papers, but nothing significant. I think fans are just not ready for our shows that are going to be passages to help diversity-driven Star Wars projects that we are so very proud of and cannot wait to unveil to everybody. Now, let me just stop right here for 1 second. Now, again, Kennedy always pulls that diversity card. I mean, she always does this all the time. Every single time that she's questioned about her projects and where they're going and why she believes it's going to be different than George Lucas's philosophy. And that's another thing to worry about, by the way, guys, is that her projects, Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, are shifting away completely from George Lucas's philosophy. She herself said so in her own words a couple of weeks ago, that it's all about breaking that burden of what fans are expecting of what George created all those years ago. Now, the thing about this that I think a lot of fans need to worry about too is the fact that she literally went on to say that she's disgusted with fans on how they reacted to the whole Rey announcement. And, you know, I mean, you gotta remember that these are your customers. The fans are Lucasfilm's customers. This is going to be a movie, by the way, so you're now relying on ticket sales. You're not relying on a subscription service like Disney Plus, where there's a wide range of things to watch. And I think that's where, you know, she needs to be very careful about what she says, because, let's face it, when it comes to Disney Plus, at least for the people that subscribe for multiple franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, just Disney movies, whatever have you, they're not going to unsub just because if Star Wars, you know, shifts away from their focus. But when you do have people that are just watching Disney Plus for Star Wars, that's when you can run into problems too. But about this is that she is once again saying that fans are not ready for diversity in these upcoming projects. And once again, it's just not a big surprise. So she goes on to say, as for Daisy and our Rey announcement, though I don't really have a lot of control over that film, as I'm focusing on things like with Leslie Headland and Mr. Watts, fans are being very childish right now over Stephen Knight's film announcement, and of course how they are reacting to Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. It just never amazes me how fans act or defend themselves over something that is just a movie and just fiction. People need to remember that these films are just entertainment. They have no impact on our day-to-day lives. So I don't understand the whole "they destroyed my childhood" thing. But we have many great things in the works, and we will be sharing very soon. So again, Kathleen Kennedy once again talking about this endlessly, about how it's just a movie, it doesn't matter. Well, Star Wars is more than just a movie, and I know it may sound a little, off sometimes, but it's true. It's more than a movie in a sense that people grow up with it. It becomes a part of their childhood. It creates, moments for them to gain friends or do certain things in their lives at a young age, and that's the whole childhood thing. When people saw these movies and bonded with other fans at a younger age, that's what makes the film so very special. And I've said this many times, that there's something so different about Star Wars than Marvel that no other franchise will be able to even touch. And that's where you have to be careful. You have to keep that magic in play. And I feel that's where the sequels kind of shifted off a little bit and lost that magic. So Kathleen Kennedy, once again, labeling the fans as this and that, childish, being disgusted with them, the way that they're acting. And look, I get it, we haven't seen the footage of the Rey movie just yet. We really can't judge something fully until we see some footage, but there's also valid reasons why people are being very critical and showing a lot of criticism for this movie, because a lot of people, and this is the truth, do not like the sequels, or at the very minimum, have a couple of big problems with the sequels. I mean, it's just a given fact. It's the majority of fans that have issues with them. And so, yeah, what do you expect? Of course, you're going to get a lot of backlash, a lot of people that don't want Rey back in her own movie. So I think that what John and Dave are doing is a more better approach, in that their post-Episode 9 series, it's going to focus on the new generation of Jedi, with Rey as like a side character coming in and out in different parts of the show. That, to me, I think is a very interesting way to go about doing it, and that's going to take place after the Rey movie. We'll talk about that a little bit later, too. But overall, guys, given that Kennedy is still having a hard time over at Disney between herself and the executives, they want to still get rid of her by this August. It's still a big work in progress. It's all going to be dependent on Indy 5, most likely, if they approve that proposal by this May, to make it depend on that film's success or failure. But overall, guys, I'm really intrigued to hear what you all have to say about what Kennedy had to say to the fans. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I'll catch you guys next time.